Soigneur. It's Saturday morning. It's early Saturday morning. Gives me quite a lot of memories from coastal memories from 20 years ago, 99, 2000, 2001. This is the first episode of Soigneur. It's to embody a book which is going to have multiple examples of people who care, and you generally see amazing achievements, but at what sacrifice? Generally it's a team puts out for one, or a team collective that will work with the person who's best suited or best adapted for the job or the task. So the Soigneur is a French word. It comes from the Tour de France. It was coined as it's a team competition where you have a sports team. It's restricted to 20 teams, and those 20 teams are heavily funded by sponsors, different types of endorsements, but generally there's only in these high-profile television tour like cycle races, you are limited to 20 or even 15, 16 teams, and a team will comprise of serious management. Each rider is an athlete, and they would form part of a team captain or team lead decision. I think a team manager would integrate between what's actually happening in the race and how to coordinate the best out of physical performance and tactical strategies to get the best out of whatever result the competition. Because the Tour de France comes to mind when I came up with the term, because it doesn't really come down to the sprints or the interval sections of the race that determine the general classification winner. It generally comes down to the mountain stages and how many climbers you have in the team to assist the, let's call it the point man of the team. So you would have generally younger and assistant type of roles in the team, and that's where the Soigneur fits in. The guys would transport from the team vehicle, which is at the back of the peloton, and you'd really need a skillful rider that would transport either important messages. He would sacrifice his own equipment. He would also be running around after the scenes. I would imagine the errands are not that easy. So I didn't know, but that's the one role within the team that you can call the one who provides care. But I would like to focus on the person who's a non-member of the team, the one that has to organize all the travel, the one has to perform all the massage therapy and physical therapy, because that, to me, would make up quite a bulk of the time in the recovery and the rehab, and it's not more than 10%. Not more than 10% that the Soigneur would get involved with each possible rider, if let's just call it a certain schedule, but work hours are ridiculous. And so the intention behind the book is just a collection of stories. I think for each different sporting code, you have your different types of challenges, and you generally have people who are probably more prepared and succeed, and where are they now. It's just a great it's a great formulation for those who want to commit to a certain journey and they want to get all their important goals and systems in play, because from a lifetime of experience, the way in which professional sports has evolved, it really is quite a correlation to personal endeavor and how we as a collective have really identified the tasks a lot better and been very resourceful with talent and executing plans, almost as if the warfare has now become automated and is on a different geographical playing field, and it seems that the sports science and the technology has moved from what was once obviously a major world disruption has now translated to sport, because it reflects on a nation as to the amount of resources that they can allocate for talent development, the schools and the college systems which nurture the talent. And I just feel I was definitely part of a system, and I think there was a lot of frustration along the way to identify at first what was transpiring, and who, and what was the outcome if one invested a certain amount of resources and sacrifices, and what was really there at the end. So with some personal examples, there was a family member who pursued an Olympic sport, and that actually was almost 15 to 16 years of a committed path of excellence, and I think that had a big influence on my decision to embark on a journey from 1997 to understand fully all the different moving pieces when it comes to identifying a scenario and executing it out. And it brings me to those feelings where the Soigneur would be the first one up in the morning, and they would actually prepare all the necessary small details, because the attention to the small details is always going to be under the microscope. If there's any blame game, it normally comes down to there was a preference or a nuance that was not fulfilled, and it reflects on how much does that person actually care. So if they were willing to literally put all their attention on this particular task, there was absolutely nothing else that was going to disrupt or interfere. So that is definitely imprinted from a very young age. The training was intense, and you had to be very obsessive with the information. You had to literally be very good with handling useless information and taking the interference out of the equation. So found that I completely optimized my position when I was in my university days. I think the general feeling was, living in a commune or being that person that represented a health and wellness contribution to the group. I used to get phone calls to help certain individuals get up in the morning, and there was absolutely no benefit for me, but at the end of the day I felt a responsibility that if there was some message that could be taken out of the session, I would be the one that would like to actually give it to that particular individual and make a difference. So I generally used to get woken up at about 5:45, and I sometimes would have to make sure that this individual was awake. He wasn't that bad, he was just in a slump. It's that type of stereotype where you've been very active, or you've been playing a lot of ball sports, and he's one of those people that have now left school, and now he realizes that he has to actually do the work almost selfishly, and he's struggling with the fact that if you can try and keep a steady state for 20 minutes in a slow to moderate type of intensity, the benefits are massive. And he actually struggled to breathe. He also struggled to keep an efficient gait for quite a big portion in the beginning, but it just seemed that he got into almost a much better comfort zone. And I say that because generally when you work with someone who's a bad runner or has bad technique, there's a breathing problem. He definitely sorted that out after 3 or 4 sessions, and he was having conversations with me whilst we were probably moving from second to third gear. And he had a very good result after 6 to 8 weeks, and I think he really felt that was a positive reinforcement on his lifestyle, because I know his partner at the time was a little bit concerned with his well-being. I think it's very easy to fall into that trap where you get caught up in corporate foods, and the lifestyle of being in an office really prevents people from moving as much as they should. So he definitely found a part of himself from that experience. So that's actually the start of the series, because I was really discovering the law of running at the time, and I was moving from building a very good cardiovascular base, and I was specializing in medium to middle distance type of intervals, and I really felt that I improved my anaerobic thresholds to the extent of 2 to 3 minutes, but could not really repeat it like some of the other talent at the time. So I had a very positive experience with a coach at the time. He definitely shared a lot of information, but I think he was also quite hungry for some of my findings coming from the background that I came from. So 2001 really sticks out, because I thought I should compete with the 6 or 7 or 8 middle distances in the group, but the reality was they pulled me along, and I'm very grateful for what they had done for my understanding from a physiological point of view. There was just breakthroughs happening all over, and it was a pattern disruption, and it was a rewiring process, but it really led me to be a lot more mindful, and I was very disciplined going from those training sessions and applying that in some of the work. There was obviously fatigue issues, and I think I understood a little bit what burnout and staleness would look like, but at the end of the day I got out of that season or two with not really picking up any major injuries, if you consider the volumes that I managed to accumulate. So that was actually a really positive